I've been wanting to do a video about these figures for a little while now. I've had these particular figures for about a month and a half, and I got them off of eBay for what I think was a pretty reasonable price. Now, on a side note, if there are any on eBay currently, I will leave a link in the description down below if you're interested, or you could go to eBay and type in Power Commandos yourself. These are O-ring figures, and they are very similar to the 80s and 90s G.I. Joe A Real American Hero figures. These released in 1992 by the Lucky Bell Corporation, business, whatever, by Lucky Bell. And if I understand it correctly, this is Wave 2, Series 2. It's a set of 6 figures. There was a first set in the late 80s that had 12 figures. But there are just 6 of these. And I'll go ahead and flip this around and we can look at the back here. So we'll bring this a little bit closer. You can see that there is a little dio of all 6 figures up there. It's kind of covered by the import tag up there. There are a couple file cards for the figures, or bio cards, whatever you want to consider them. And over here it says collect them all. So Power Commandos, there's a lot of similarities to G.I. Joe. Up here it says Power Commandos. I like this a lot. Those guys from the other galaxy. And then up in the top left, it does say fully posable space-age soldier figures with interchangeable weapons and accessories. And you can see how the explosion over here kind of is like a fireball in space. I don't know, are these these aren't stars, it's like tears in the packages, but I'm pretending that these are stars because they're from another galaxy. They're in space. So there are 6 figures total, and real quick, I want to explain, or I want to point out what got me interested in these figures, because up to, I don't know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I didn't really care too much. I'd heard about them, but I didn't really care. I didn't really explore to see how neat these actually potentially are. So figure up in the top left corner, let's see if I can get him a little bit more visible. That's Mummy Mask up there. And I got interested thanks to Whiskey Jack Toys Kickstarter recently of Chaos. And he used some designs from these Power Commandos in his O-ring Kickstarter. And one of the figures that really jumped out to me from that Kickstarter was his Mummy Mask figure. And so I just thought I wanted to explore it a little bit more. He talked about that some of the designs were based off of Power Commandos. So I wanted to look at these things, and I was really excited to locate this set, and I want to open them up and take a peek at them. One last thing I want to show you before we get these things open is this is a standard G.I. Joe card from the early 90s, so you can see how much larger the Power Commandos packaging is from the G.I. Joe packaging. So anyway, you've got two figures there. I actually do like that they spent a little bit of money on art. The art actually is not too bad looking. For people like to call these knockoff G.I. Joe figures, and honestly, I look at these and I really don't see a lot that is directly taken. I see a lot of inspiration, but I don't see a lot that's actually taken from. The closest thing might be these flippers down here for Red Raven. Oh yeah, I didn't say who they are. So we have Mummy Mask up in the top left, then we get Metal Hawk, X-Ray Eye, Submarine, Condor Strike, Red Raven. And they actually, let's see, 4 of them. These 4 guys are good guys. They're heroic guys. These 2 guys are terror. They're the bad guys. Kind of curious why you only get a bad guy and a good guy, but then you get 2 good guys. Like, are these good guys supposed to fight each other, or was heroic? No, terror seems to be on the top. I don't know, but that's how it's laid out. Anyway, I want to get these things open and take a look at the actual figures. And we're back, and real quick, let's go over their names one more time. We've got Submarine here, X-Ray Eye, Condor Strike, Red Raven, Metal Hawk, and Mummy Mask. As a quick little side note, Red Raven here comes with a couple of fins, diving stuff, but the funny thing is, this dude over here, Submarine, wouldn't he get the fins? Anyway, but on a really side note, these are all guys from another galaxy, so what does any of them need with fins anyway? So let's bring them one by one just a little bit closer. I've got some other figures right here, but let's take a little bit closer look at these so you can see what they actually look like. So As far as I can tell, these are all original parts. Nothing was actually taken from G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Maybe I'm wrong, but, inspiration is a form of flattery, isn't it? Here we have X-Ray Eye. I like the gold and the blue. I think those are pretty cool together. And these have the exact same level of articulation as the classic G.I. Joe figures. Let's see, this is Condor Strike. I'm having to try to remember what their names are because these are pretty new to me and I haven't memorized them. I'm noticing that there's some roughness down here at the heel. So it looks like maybe a point where maybe the mold disconnected. I'm not quite sure, but I'm noticing each of them have a very rough heel. I like that gold color. They chose a good gold color. If you're not a fan of the, maybe just early to mid 90s G.I. Joe figures because of those neon colors, you might not like some of these because some of these are bright colors. I mean, not everyone enjoys really bright colors. Some of us do. I do. I like these. This makes me think of a mix between a bat and a viper, just the mask and the color scheme. Oh, red, no, that's, I think that's Red Raven back there. And then this is Metal Hawk. He looks like he has a rank of some sort with this chevron system going on there. It's interesting, these are orange colored, and I don't know that I saw orange on any of the other figures. One thing I did notice, and I'll mention that here, with Mummy Mask, is that the head rotates like all over the place. It's on a ball joint. There's no stoppers in there. So it's just a complete ball joint. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the articulation with, let's try Condor Strike. I think he was the easiest one. So as I said, ball joint up there. The arms rotate all the way around. They lift up, and I can safely get them up about that high. Now, these figures are over 30 years, I think. 92 to 2025. Yeah, that's 33 years. So even though these are brand new out of the package, I'm guessing there's going to be some fragileness with them, which is unfortunate. I kind of wish I would have had these back in the day to really had a lot of fun and manipulate and articulate and all that stuff. But 90 degrees, about 90 degrees there at the elbow. There's swivel elbow. O-ring construction, so you can pull it apart. And I'm actually surprised. These O-rings are really good. I've heard tales of O-rings falling apart or the G.I. Joe O-ring figures falling apart in packages more recently, and you'd think this is a bit cheaper. And I'll say I think these were cheaper. These were definitely cheaply made, which I'm actually surprised how well they're holding together. Knees bend 90 degrees, so if you want him to sit, he could definitely sit. If you want him to do the splits, he can go up about that far, a typical O-ring figure, and he can also then sit straight out. And all over the place. So I've articulated all of them after I took them out of the package, and I'm showing them to you here. I have articulated all of them. I'll say this, and this is one thing I did learn, is that at least with Mummy Mask, stay Condor Strike. There we go. I did learn with Mummy Mask, because I was being a little bit more careful with this figure because I really liked this figure, is this left arm, when I went to articulate it, move it up on this metal hinge, is that it kind of got stuck when it was almost straight out. And I didn't like the idea of trying to push it. Like right now, it's kind of stuck here. I'd have to push it and force it a little bit down. That's I'm not being slow. I'm actually putting some force there. So I went ahead and took this figure apart. That's how I discovered the heads are on ball joints. And it was a little bit difficult to put this figure back together tight. You can see right here, there's even still a little bit of a gap. And I can't remember if before I took this figure apart, if there was a gap. Now, when I have been articulating, I can't really show it to you, but down here on my surface, there are little paint flecks here and there. So articulating these things did fleck off paint. And the quality is definitely not there compared to some figures. Let's see, can I get any closer here? There's something specific I'm trying to show you. Let's see if I can focus in right there. So if you look really careful, you might need to pause. Right there is a chip, and there's several little nicks and chips along his back. So that's interesting for figures fresh out of the box. And over here on his right leg, you've got some blue paint. I'm not sure, I wasn't paying attention if this was actually touching, but it doesn't look, unless he's like bent like about like this, you know, he wasn't really touching, but it is the right spot for the glove to be. And let's see, stand up, X-ray eye over here. If you notice that this one might be a little bit more difficult to spot, but right here on his chest, right above that, there is some red paint. I don't know where that red paint, there's nothing that was touching the chest in the packaging. And then over here with Submarine, can look on his helmet and there is some red paint there. So I'm not sure where the paint splotching happened, if it was just splattered. I don't even, like, it doesn't rub off, so it's not 30 years gooey. The best looking ones, I think, are these three right there. Now, as for these accessories, they got some interesting things going on here. You got, well, this like barbell. Let's see if I can focus in here. You've got like this barbell without the weights, or maybe it's a spear. Now I see that this has a bit of a point to it. Then you've got this gun that I can't quite snag with my tweezers, but got this gun right here. And this, manly man axe right here. Look at that thing. That's a mean looking axe. Then this guy has also kind of got like a spear, kind of a harpoon. It's got some nubs up here. Maybe it's a javelin. Makes me think of Lady J's javelin. Then you've got like this little laser gun, for those guys from the other galaxy. You've got a nice looking, I would say, sci-fi-ish sword, unless not sci-fi the G.I. Joe, but like sci-fi-ish, unless somebody knows what this is. Maybe it's based off of something real. I don't know. It looks really cool. Then you got this, and the first thing you'd think about would be Low Light from G.I. Joe, his backpack. It looks like it's been designed different. It doesn't look like an exact copy, but it could be inspired by, which is fascinating here. There's a hole. I wonder what this hole is for, unless it's just to carve out a little bit more material, but actually I do kind of wonder if I can peg in another backpack. You can kind of peg in another backpack to that. That's kind of funny. So like, I can peg a backpack into a backpack. These kind of are slick feeling. They're definitely soft. They're definitely a different feel than the G.I. Joe accessories. And then we've got this guy who, for some strange reason, has fins. And these might remind you of some Cobra fins, but they're a lot more squatty. I think the G.I. Joe fins were longer. Then you've got, of course, this backpack that I just used to peg into that backpack. It's got a little antenna. Little antenna's soft, rubbery. I mean, it's medium soft. It's fragile. It's got a hollow section there. All the guns, they feel like they're not rubbery, but they're a little bendy, which I like because that means they shouldn't break, right? Unless you really crank them. Anyway, there's this gun right there. And we got this gun right here. I think this is in focus about so. And let's see, have we seen this gun before? I don't think so. All the guns are actually pretty unique looking, which is kind of nice. You'd think with something like this, you'd have a bunch of repeats. Now this, nope, this is unique as well. Little gun right there. And then he's got a baton or a bat, whatever you want to refer to this thing as. A baton or a bat. It looks like a long baton. Put that backpack over here. Let's get X-ray eye and stand him back up so he doesn't spend the rest of the video laying on his back. There we go. Now, actually, this is really kind of cool. I couldn't tell in the package for sure, and looking at the card art, I think, no, maybe it was older card art, but this thing was really interesting to me. I actually thought maybe you could remove his hand, like the bat, and put it on, but no. look at that. It's got a handhold hidden on the inside. So that's kind of cool. So he's got his own old man claw grabber. So when he's walking along, he can just reach down and pick up the garbage and throw it away on his way to work. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I like that. And he's got this seriously medium looking axe. It's not quite as impressive as Mummy Mask over there, but it's a long axe. That's a really, he's going to chop down some trees with that sucker. And you got another cool looking gun. Surprising amount of detail for this. I mean, you'd think that this would be a really cheaply made, very little detail, just like basic, just do what you have to do to get this out. I don't remember these things being out when I was younger, back, 92. So I don't know if these were like dollar store. We did have some dollar store type things, like 99-cent stores or cheapy stores. I don't remember where they actually sold these at. Got another backpack with another peg, so you can peg another backpack into it. Then we got, gonna try to knock over that dude. We got this gun. I did try to peg, or not peg, but did try to put some of these accessories in some of their hands in between cuts. And as I was saying earlier, this is 35, 33-year-old figure plastic. He's a roller derby guy. Look at that. He's got some roller skates. Does he actually fit on these things? Well, I mean, whoa, let's throw him around. He's actually a little bit big, I would say, for these skates. I don't know how comfortable that would be. His toes are sticking over the edge, but that's funny. Roller skates. That's great. I like that. Let's just leave him on the skates. Now, Submarine here, you'd think he would have the fins. Maybe I should give him the fins and give the roller skates to Red Raven. That's who it is. But anyway, you'd think that these would be like incredibly cheaply made. And yes, there are some points where it feels like they're a little bit cheaper than others. Like, I don't know, the accessories are a little bit I don't know. The backpacks feel odd. They feel light and maybe squishable. But some of these guns they actually feel pretty sturdy. Like something like this is definitely bendy. The paint, I don't know anything about the paint, but they look good. They haven't faded. I don't know where these things have been kept. I got this, as I mentioned earlier, from eBay, and that's from Mexico, someplace down in Mexico. So maybe these have been stored in a dark place all these years, because I'm not seeing much fading on any of these figures. These are pretty fresh from the day they went in from the factory. And you can tell some design-wise. Like, if we look at this guy right here, let's see how well we can focus in. If you look at his face, like, I'm noticing that this is kind of like an older design. This is definitely not a newer. Actually, look at this. Kind of funny. I think he's supposed to have hair. I think this sculpt is like a hard hat, maybe. Like a construction type guy, because this looks like it's all hair, but it's been painted to be some sort of like a head wrap. So that's kind of interesting. If someone gets one of these, they could paint this to see what it would look like with hair. Maybe he is supposed to be some sort of a roller derby dude because of these roller skates that he's wearing. So how do these, I know these are old figures, like old figures, 30 years old figures, but how do they stack up? How do they look with modern figures? Give me a second. I'm going to scoot all these accessories away. And we're back, and I'm going to kind of toss all these, not toss, I'm going to roughly set them into the back. Let's bring Mummy Mask up to the front, kind of right there. This will be our staging area for height comparison. So the first guy I've got here is Thunder Battalion from Delta 17. Then we have a Wolf Trooper from Skeletron. Well, Skeletron slash Delta, not Delta, Skeletron slash Callsign Longbow. Then we have an original Cobra Commander, Battle Armor Cobra Commander. Get him straight, stand him up. So actually, this figure is older than this figure. Then we have a Reaction Plus Super 7 Bat. And, ooh, just for fun, we We have a Super 7 Micronauts Baron Karza, because why not? We have a Hasbro Modern Era Ghostbusters figure right there. And I don't know about you, but it looks like it's holding up, standing up pretty well. Might not be nearly as detailed as some, but then again, check out Cobra Commander over here. I mean, he's actually really pretty detailed for the time. And compared to some of these others, I'd even say that maybe like the Bat's not even as detailed. A Super 7 modern Bat is not as detailed as an late 80s Cobra Commander battle armor, or even Baron Karza over here. Just there's lots of smoothness. I know he's a robot of sorts, and he's like metallic. Forget him. He's not detailed. We got a heavy armor action figure here. Then we've got Strike Force Alpha, who's apparently a leaning shrimpy of a figure. He looks like the smallest of them all from this point of view. And then Zyka Riot Commando. I think it's Riot Commando. I always forget this dude's name. So I think he actually holds his own against some of these figures. I think it looks pretty nice. So I'm going to grab a couple. Here's his like massive battle axe thing. I would say if you get these and you are going to articulate them very gently. All right. Awesome. My light went out. I've been recording way too much today. So that's about as far as I comfortably feel like putting this axe on the figure. So, yeah, anyway. Let's try. Come on. I also don't, it's not about breaking it, but I don't want to like, oh my goodness. Man, I really put that thing on there. He's like, death grip it. Yeah, that's been chewed up just a little bit. I also want to be careful about paint wear. So back in the day, these were probably really easy to put the accessories in, but because these haven't had an opportunity to be played with over the years, especially early on when they're more freshly being made, then now it's going to be really difficult. That's what I've learned. Like some of my G.I. Joe figures that I played a lot with and put the accessories in the hands and out of the hands, back and forth, I can easily put the accessories in their hands nowadays. But the figures that I didn't play much with, it's really difficult and feels really kind of sus to try to put those accessories in the hands. It almost feels like they might break. And same with these. Like none of these have had, I don't even know what this guy's accessories are, but let's put a backpack on. Now, the backpack can go on this figure pretty well. Comes off pretty well. Let's see. We got this sword over here. I don't even know if this is the guy's accessories. I've already forgotten. Yeah, all these are really tight. And I don't know if I'm sure that this plastic is cheaper than the plastic for these G.I. Joe figures. That's just my guess because, I mean, they're cheaper figures. Or at least I'm assuming they are cheaper figures. Hasbro's the big dog making better figures with better material, and it lasted this long. And even G.I. Joe is starting to have some issues nowadays. So I don't even know what these are going to go through, but maybe they've been protected enough. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't really want to break these, so I don't know how comfortable I feel actually putting all these accessories in the hands, it's just really extremely disappointing. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to Whiskey Jack Toys. This is a great accidental promotion. If you were aware of their Chaos Kickstarter program for their O-ring figures, these villains of O-rings, a lot of the designs for these figures were going to be in that line. So next time Chaos comes around and you want these types of figures, but figures maybe you can actually put accessories in their hands, you can actually do something with it, you don't feel like you're going to break them all the time, back his Kickstarter and we can get not exactly these figures, but very, very similar figures, especially Mummy Mask, right? Like, I want these, and if you like these, you'll like those too. So keep an eye out here. I don't know when Chaos is going to relaunch, maybe later this year sometime. I know he said he's going to do it again, but he's got to get through some other Kickstarters, O-ring projects before then. So anyway, these are the Power Commandos. People say they're a knockoff of G.I. Joe. I do say they are heavily inspired by. And they have a lot of, at least this Wave 2 has a lot of similar parts, but maybe they're more unique. I'm pretty sure maybe older Wave 1 maybe did have some actual parts that were reused that maybe were not obtained legally. I don't know what the terminology is. But anyway, Power Commandos, these are actually really neat. These are a lot of fun. They look good. I like them. I like them a lot. But I might not be able to play with them and do as much stuff with them as I had hoped. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I will see you in the next one.